Hey guys, here's another episode of Through a Pathologist's Eyes, and this is a case of a 20 some year old female who had a breast lump and which concerned her, and she went to a surgeon to get it inspected. And on palpation, he found that to be a very well circumscribed and firm kind of a swelling, and it was very much mobile and not attached to skin surface or anything. And it was kind of very mobile, and one of the main features he felt for that lesion was that it is very mobile, almost like a mouse in the breast appearance. That is, like a mouse moves, it just moves away if you touch it, or you can move it with your hand. So that is the kind of characteristic finding that he found with this lump. And he advised FNAC, or fine needle aspiration cytology, about which we had already talked about in the last video. So that's how she came to the pathologist, and FNAC was done. And what you're seeing is an aspirate which is smeared onto a slide and stained with pap smear. So pap stain. So what you're seeing is basically a lot of cells. So you have to correlate the age and the kind of cellularity that we are seeing. Usually, when the smear is very cellular, we think about a malignancy. But in this case, the age is kind of in the 20s, and this the characteristic features of the lump, as told by the surgeon, is that it is very mobile, firm, and not attached to skin, nothing like that. So we have an assumption, and what we think of first is a fibroadenoma. That is what comes to our mind, and all the descriptions told actually fits into clinically also to that of a fibroadenoma. So what we expect in a fibroadenoma is kind of a cellular aspirate like we are seeing now. The smear will be kind of very cellular, and then what we see is the ductile epithelial cells will. Fibroadenoma is a biphasic lesion or a neoplasm in which there is ductile as well as stromal component. But in this case, mostly it is ductile that we are seeing. Stromal component was not seen in the slide. But we have to understand there is a biphasic neoplasm in the sense that there will be ductile component as well as a stromal component. And there are two types of fibroadenomas: pericanalicular and intracanalicular. And again, it is something which affects young females, maybe in the late teenage 20s and early 30s. That is the usual age group, but though it can come in almost all age groups, this is the common age group. And it's usually about 1 centimeter, 1.5 centimeter, but it can reach up to larger sizes. But usually it is in that size group, and it will be very mobile. No attachment to skin surface, very much mobile, so much mobile that sometimes it is called a mouse in the breast appearance due to its mobility. So that is how it is clinically. And on aspirating, what we see is this kind of appearance, a cellular, and this is what you call this is what you call a sheet in the sense like a sheet of appearances. You can see a sheet of appearance. Then there will be another appearance that is called the antler horn appearance. That is actually, it's not antler horn, because antler, I'll come to that now. I'll just show you that cluster which kind of looks like an antler here somewhere. One second. All right, so if you look here, it's like an antler appearance. Antler is what we see here. See, this is antler. The antlers are uh, such structures that you see on the deer family, and it is not antler horn, because antlers and horns are different. Antler is actually extension from the skull bones, and they shed it every year. Usually they shed it yearly, deers and whatnot. and usually it is seen in male deers, except in reindeers where they can see in both sexes. So this is the antler horn. So this kind of an appearance is called, sorry, antler. So this kind of an appearance is called antler. Now I told antler is mainly an extension from the skull bone. So what is horn then? Horn is also extension from the skull bone, but on top of that extension there is, or layered to that extension there is keratin layer, like we have in the fingernails. So antlers doesn't have that keratin coating, but horns have that keratin coating, and horns have inside the bony part of the skull, but the antler is entirely the bony skull which is extending into this shapes. So this is the antlers, and horns doesn't shed every year, but antlers will be shed usually every year. So except in a very few animals or species, most of the others it will be shed. So if you look here, where is it? If you look here, it has that kind of appearance. If this was the face of a deer, this would be an antler like appearance. So that is the antler like appearance. The sheet we also already saw. These are basically ductile epithelial cells. So it is tightly cohesive clusters. This is a cluster, tightly cohesive, because these are actually cells. At higher power when we go, we'll see that these are cells. So tightly cohesive clusters of cells, and also sheets. Sheet is what we saw in the beginning. Again, I'll have to focus. Okay, so this is a sheet, like a kind of a sheety appearance. This is a sheet. Yeah, this is focusing takes a little time. There's a lag, inevitable and frustrating at least, but no other way out. Okay, so it's almost focused. So this is a sheet kind of structure, very different from the antler appearance we just saw. And what do we see on top of that? There is, on top of that there is some dot like structures. So this is a higher power of that sheet. So all these cells, these are those cohesive clusters of cells. So these are all ductile epithelial cells. So the ductile epithelial cell, as I told, fibroadenoma has a epithelial component and the stromal component. Unfortunately, in the slide, the stromal component did not come up. Only the ductile component has come up. So I'll be describing about the ductile component. So these are the very much cohesive ductile epithelial cells, and I can see it was very closely packed together. That's another feature of benign lesions, neoplasms in the breast. In case of carcinomas, the cells won't be that cohesive. They'll be the clusters will be kind of loosely packed clusters. The cells will be like going away from each other, the ductal epithelial cells. And sometimes they may be seen singly. The ductal epithelial cells may be seen singly, and the nucleus will have pleomorphism. That is, the shapes will be different, the size will be different. They may be hyperchromatic, they may be mitosis, there may be a very kind of bizarre cells. So if you look here, all the cells are kind of uniform. So there is no pleomorphism, there is no mitosis that is visible anywhere. There is no it's very much cohesive. There is no single cells that is out of the cluster. So that means if it is benign, and fibroadenoma is a benign condition, and in benign condition like fibroadenoma, the cells are cohesive clusters and sheets, very much uniform, bland nucleus. There is no pleomorphism, nothing. There is no big mitosis around to be seen. So these are features. So but what do you see on top of this, like this, some dots? These are the nucleus, or these are myoepithelial cell nuclei or myoepithelial cells. So on top of the uh, epithelial ductal epithelial cells, we can see myoepithelial cells like this. This appearance is called sesame seed on bun appearance, which is this kind of an appearance. These are the sesame seeds, and the sesame seeds distributed on top of a bun. That kind of an appearance is called sesame seed on bun appearance. We again can appreciate uh, this is like a sesame seed on a bun appearance. So these are the two similes that we can find with fibroadenomas. So it's a very benign kind of lesion, and some other findings we'll see out of the clusters. We'll just move a little slowly. Moving is very difficult. Focusing is kind of a little difficult, but still, I think it's manageable. A little patient. Again, here again we can see that this is a cluster, maybe a part of that antler, and you can see that sesame seed on bun appearance, and these are the scattered single myoepithelial cells. I told scattered epithelial cells would be seen in the malignancy, in case of malignancy, but here scattered myoepithelial cells will be seen, and some will be bipolar, in the sense it will have kind of two pole appearance. Here there is a pole, here there is a pole. So bipolar cells and scattered myoepithelial cells will be seen in fibroadenoma. And one thing that is missing in the slide is stroma. Stroma is kind of a very fibrillary kind of a thing, fortunately. But just remember that that is what is missing in this slide. So stroma should have also been there. We have seen all the other features of fibro, much characteristic of Handler, and of tightly cohesive sheets and like clusters with many bare nuclei, which we have seen these all bare nuclei. These are all bare nuclei, myoepithelial cells, bipolar kind of with two poles, kind of cells, like cells which are elongated and having two poles, like a north and south, something like that, poles, which I had shown just now. So in this, if you see, the background shows some blood. These are RBC. So this is basically what a fibroadenoma looks like. I hope it was helpful. Thank you. Thank you.